Brother and Sister. A little brother took his little sister by the hand and said, "Since our mother died, we have been miserable. Our stepmother beats us every day and feeds us nothing but hard leftover crusts of bread. Heaven pity us. Come, let's run away together into the wild world." They walked the whole day, and in the evening they came to a large forest. Tired out with sorrow, hunger, and walking, they slept. When they awoke the next day, the sun was already hot and high in the sky. The brother said, "Sister, I'm thirsty. I need to drink, and I think I hear a little running brook." They set off to find water. But the wicked stepmother was a witch. She had crept after the escaping children and bewitched all the brooks in the forest. The brother and the sister found a little brook, leaping brightly over stones. The brother was going to drink from it, but the sister heard the brook say, "Who drinks from me will be a tiger. Who drinks from me will be a tiger." She cried, "Dear brother, do not drink this water, or you will become a wild beast and tear me to pieces." The thirsty brother did not drink. He said, "I will wait for the next little brook." When they came to the next brook, the sister heard it say, "Who drinks from me will be a wolf. Who drinks from me will be a wolf." She cried out, "Dear brother, do not drink this water, or you will become a wolf and eat me." The brother did not drink. He said, "I will wait until we come to the next brook, but then I must drink, because I am so thirsty." When they came to the third brook, the sister heard it say, "Who drinks from me will be a deer. Who drinks from me will be a deer." She said, "Oh, dear brother, do not drink this water, or you will become a deer and run away from me." But the brother had already knelt down by the brook. He drank, and soon as the first drops touched his lips, he became a young roebuck deer. The sister wept over her poor bewitched brother, and the deer wept too. At last the girl said, "Little roebuck deer, I will never, never leave you." She untied her golden belt and put it around the deer's neck, and she wove rushes into a soft cord to make a lead. Holding this, she walked on, deeper into the forest. After they had traveled a long way, they came to a little cottage. The sister looked in and saw it was empty, and she decided they would stay here. She found leaves and moss to make a soft bed for the deer. Every morning she gathered roots, berries, and nuts for herself, and brought tender grass for the deer, who ate out of her hand and played around her. At night the sister laid her head upon the deer's back for a pillow and slept softly. If only the brother had been his normal self, it would have been a delightful life. For some time they were alone, like this in the wilderness. But then the king of the country held a great hunt in the forest. The buglehorn blast, the dogs barking, and the huntsman's merry shouts rang through the trees. The deer heard them and was overcome by a great longing. "Oh," he said to his sister, "let me go to the hunt. I cannot bear it any longer." And he begged so much that at last she agreed. "But," she said to him, "come back in the evening, knock at the door and say, 'My little sister, let me in.' That way I will know you. If you do not say that, I will not open the door." Then the young deer sprang off, happy in the open air. The king and the huntsman saw the pretty creature with the golden collar and chased after him, but they could not catch him, and when they thought that they surely had him away, he sprang through the bushes. Once it was dark, he ran to the cottage. He did not know, but one huntsman had quietly followed him. The huntsman hid and watched while the deer knocked at the door and called out, "My little sister, let me in." The huntsman saw the door open. The deer jumped inside and rested the whole night on his soft bed. The king's huntsman went to the king and told him what he had seen and heard. The king said, "Tomorrow we will hunt once more." When the deer heard the bugle horn again and the ho-ho of the huntsman, he had no peace. The sister begged him to stay, saying, "This time they will kill you, and I will be alone in the forest. I will not let you out." "Then you will have me die of grief," answered the deer. "When I hear the bugle horn, I feel as if I will jump out of my skin." So the sister opened the door for him with a heavy heart, saying, "Return in the evening and say your password." The deer, full of joy, bounded into the forest. When the king saw the pretty deer with the golden collar, he said to his men, "Chase him all day long till nightfall, but take care that no one does him any harm." Then, as soon as the sun had set, the king asked his huntsmen to show him the cottage. He knocked and called out, "My little sister, let me in." The door opened, the king walked in, and there stood the most lovely girl he had ever seen. At first, the sister was frightened, seeing a man with a golden crown upon his head instead of the little deer. But the king looked at her kindly, stretched out his hand and said, "Will you come with me to my palace and be my beloved wife?" "Yes, I will," answered the sister. "But the little deer must come with me. I cannot leave him." The king said, "He shall stay with you as long as you live and shall have everything he needs." Just then the deer came running in. The sister tied him with the cord of rushes, took it in her hand, and they went away with the king, who married the lovely girl with pomp and ceremony. She was now the queen, and they lived for a long time happily together. The deer was cherished and ran about in the palace garden. Now the stepmother witch, who the children had escaped, thought all this time that the sister must have been torn to pieces by wild beasts in the forest, and that the brother would have been shot by the huntsman. When she heard that they were living happily in the king's palace, envy and hatred rose in her heart. She thought of nothing but how she could bring them misfortune. Her own daughter, who was so ugly as night and had only one eye, grumbled, saying, "She, queen? I ought to have been queen." "Be quiet," answered the witch. "When a chance comes, I shall be ready." Time went on, and it happened that one day, when the king was away from the palace hunting, the queen gave birth to a pretty baby boy. The witch pretended to be a chambermaid. She went into the room where the queen lay and said to her, "Come, I have prepared a hot bath. It will rebuild your strength. Hurry, before it gets cold." The witch and her one-eyed daughter carried the weak queen into the bathroom. They put her into a hot bath, then shut the door and ran away. They had made a fire in the room of such deadly heat that the beautiful young queen soon died. When this was done, the old witch took her daughter, put a nightcap on her head, and told her to lie in the queen's bed. She gave her the shape and the look of the queen, only she could not change her lost eye. She told her daughter to lie on that side so that the king would not see the missing eye. In the evening, when the king came home and heard he had a son, he was very happy. He did not realize that a false queen was lying in the bed. That night, at midnight, when everyone else slept, The nurse sitting by the baby's cradle saw the door open, and the true queen appeared like a ghost. The nurse slipped out to tell the king, and who crept into the room to hide and watch. The ghostly queen took the baby boy out of the cradle, laid him on her arm and fed him. Then she shook up the baby's pillow, laid him down again and covered him with the little kilt. Nor did she forget the deer. She went into the corner where he lay and stroked his back. As she turned to go, the king could not restrain himself. He said, "You can be none other than my dear wife." She answered, "Yes, I am your dear wife." And at that same moment, she came to life again, and by God's grace became fresh, rosy, and full of health. She told the king about the witch and her daughter's evil deed. The king ordered that they both be tried, and judgment was delivered against them. The witch's daughter was taken into the forest, where she was torn to pieces by wild beasts. The witch was cast into a fire and burned. As soon as she was burned, the deer changed shape, returning to his human form. So the king, the sister, the brother, and the baby boy lived happily in the palace together forever after.